has requested a trade out of Portland.
You just can't pair two small guards like that in the same backcourt.
Entire 11-year career with the Trailblazers and is the franchise's all-time leading scorer.
Ladies and gentlemen, at long last, it's finally happening. After years and years of waiting for this moment, we finally got what we're waiting for. So before we get to the content, guys, we are running back our $1,000 giveaway split between 5 subscribers that turn on our notifications on this channel. We already announced the first set of giveaway winners on my community tab. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. The NFL and NBA season are officially over, and I need something to hold me over until at least the NFL season comes back. So I've been playing prize picks for the WNBA and the MLB, and I've been fairly successful. It's a good way to get some extra action on games that I wouldn't really watch otherwise. I post my picks onto my Instagram story daily, and I've been hitting on a decent amount of them. And right now, when you use my promo code microphone, they'll double your deposit up to $100. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Man, I love when I get to make a video on the same exact topic twice within a 14-hour span. But this was way too significant for us not to talk about. We've discussed ad nauseum the Portland Trailblazers situation with Damian Lillard over the past couple years. I kind of likened it to a toxic relationship where one person is quite literally cheating on the other, because throughout the past 2 years, the Portland Trailblazers stated that they were committed towards building a contender around Damian Lillard, but their actions didn't necessarily back up their words. During the 2022 trade deadline, for instance, they traded away CJ McCollum to the New Orleans Pelicans for Josh Hart, Thomas Satoransky, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and a first-round pick, which is what you do if you're trying to rebuild. They also traded Norman Powell and Robert Covington to the Los Angeles Clippers just to get out of Norman Powell's contract, which, by the way, both are remarkable players for any contending team. That's what you're doing if you're trying to rebuild. In an injury-plagued season for Damian Lillard, the Portland Trailblazers got the 7th overall pick in the NBA draft. And this past season, Damian Lillard had quite literally the best season of his career at the age of 32. He's already locked into a supermax contract extension that kicks in during the 2025 to 2026 season, and he has a player option for the 2026 to 2027 season, meaning that in 2 years from now, Damian Lillard is going to get paid $60 million per year for 2 straight seasons. Even furthermore, despite Damian Lillard playing and averaging a career-high 21 field goal attempts per game, and even following an offseason where they traded for Jerami Grant, the Portland Trailblazers finished in a good enough position to get the number 3 pick in the NBA draft. This is where things got a little sticky, and this is where the Portland Trailblazers finally had to make a decision. You see, on one hand, you have Damian Lillard, who is telling the Portland Trailblazers that he wants to stay, but he wants to be on a contending team, rightfully so. He's about to turn 33 this season, so he clearly wants a chance to win a championship on the team that he originally played for. On the other hand, despite Damian Lillard playing and being as prolific as ever, despite all of your attempts to build a contender around him, you're still a horrible team. So it would be nice if the Trailblazers could have traded the number 3 overall pick to another team for a potential star to pair up with Damian Lillard, but what are you going to do with that number 3 pick? Trade it to the Clippers for Paul George? Do Paul George and Damian Lillard get you to the NBA Finals? Probably not. Trade it to the Toronto Raptors for Pascal Siakam? Does Pascal Siakam and Damian Lillard get you to the NBA Finals? I don't think so. So the Portland Trailblazers stood pat and selected Scoot Henderson, who even gave his own recruiting pitch to Damian Lillard.
I think Dave should say it just because I think we combine our games, it'll be over. You know what I'm saying? We kind of complement each other's games. We're both fun to watch. So ticket sales go up.
Historically, whenever a player does this, it usually results in the star player leaving. I mean, we saw Andrew Wiggins give a recruiting pitch to LeBron James to try to stay on Cleveland.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him to maybe suggest that you'd like to stay and be his teammate?
I'm in Cleveland. I want to play as hard as I can. And it'd be great for every player in the team to learn from the best and really pick his brain.
But what was even stranger was following this, you had Adrian Wojnarowski straight up saying that the Trailblazers still planned on building around Damian Lillard.
Portland wants to keep building around Damian Lillard. They want to try to continue to make some moves here. I know teams who called Portland about Damian Lillard in recent weeks and this week, and were immediately shut down.
And then you had Joe Cronin saying that he's still committed to building around Damian Lillard.
Still see Dame in our gym every day, or still meeting with Chauncey and I constantly, is because he wants us to work. He's bought in, he wants it to work here, and he's challenging us to get it done, which I think is more than fair, and he's earned that.
And I think we all understood what the straw that broke the camel's back was. You see, the Portland Trail Blazers quite literally made their final chess move yesterday. So yesterday, the Portland Trail Blazers decided to sign Jerami Grant to a 5-year, $160 million contract extension. When I saw this, first of all, again, very, very, very happy for Jerami Grant, and very happy that he was able to go from a role player on the Thunder and really grow as a player with the Denver Nuggets and then eventually the Detroit Pistons, to the point where the Portland Trail Blazers traded for him and then paid him a significant amount of money. From that standpoint, I'm always happy for any player getting the bag and securing generational wealth for himself and his family. There's nothing against that. In terms of winning a championship, this is the Portland Trail Blazers officially going to Damian Lillard and saying,
you know what? Look, Dame, I wanted to let you know, unless if you're blind or something, I don't really know, that we've been cheating on you the whole time. We quite literally brought our mistress to your face. And yeah, I want to break up now.
The problem with the Jerami Grant signing isn't the fact that Jerami Grant's a good player. This is just not a move you make if you're trying to contend for a championship. You might be thinking, Mike, Jerami Grant averaged 20.5 points per game last year, and he averages 30% from 3, which is phenomenal, by the way. And he's 28 years old, and he plays the stretch 4 and the small forward position. He's an awesome player to have on your team, but at that price, you are not trying to contend for championships. He's a great player to have on your team if you want to really help develop your next group of talent. If you have a bunch of rookie scale contracts on your team, and I guess Anthony Simons' contract, this is an awesome deal. But if you're trying to contend for championships, jig is up. There's no way you could contend for championships with this contract on your team because there's no additional room to make your team better. Jerami Grant quite literally is making about the same amount as Ja Morant is. To further back this up, I mean, in our last video, we brought up his Raptor, stands for robust algorithm using player tracking and on-off ratings, and it measures the numbers of points a player contributes to a team offense and team defense per 100 possessions relative to a league average player. Jerami Grant is in the conversation with players like Luke Kennard, Gabe Vincent, which my Lakers just signed for about a third of the price, Kevin Love, Grayson Allen, and Bruce Brown. And again, this is not a bad contract at all whatsoever if you want Scoot Henderson to have great spacing around him, which he will, and you want him to feel comfortable on the floor during his rookie season, which, by the way, he will. Originally, Damian Lillard said he was going to give the Portland Trail Blazers until free agency to see where their direction was, which I don't understand. I mean, at this point, you have to be blind. They quite literally drafted guards in the past 2 NBA drafts within the top 10 picks. But I guess Dame really just wanted to exhaust all options before making this decision, because I think he romanticized the fact that, hey, Giannis Antetokounmpo stayed with the Milwaukee Bucks for a very long time and he won a championship. Maybe it'll happen to me. Well, throughout this entire process, you quite literally saw the Miami Heat just, well, here's a meme to explain it. And it seems like Damian Lillard made his decision. I can imagine the phone call between Damian Lillard and Jerami Grant went something like this.
We?
Because, ladies and gentlemen, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, ESPN sources with Ramona Shelburne indicate that Damian Lillard has officially requested a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers, and the franchise is expected to accommodate him. Finally! Oh my god, it only took him like 3 years to demand this trade. Now you might be wondering, what's the most likely team that Damian Lillard could be traded to? Well, as you guys know, my favorite team that could potentially trade for Dame would be the Miami Heat. Now, we've covered this in the past. Jimmy Butler was recruiting Damian Lillard to the Miami Heat as of a couple of weeks ago. Damian Lillard doesn't want to play for a super team. I don't consider the Miami Heat to be a super team. I feel like they're just a team with a phenomenal culture, with stability in the front office and the head coach, a great place to live. And when you looked at them in the NBA Finals this past year, an 8th seed in the NBA Finals, by the way, you could clearly tell that this was a team that could use a talent of the caliber of Damian Lillard. This isn't even close to Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors following the 2016 season. This is a player that could go to an organization that could win his first championship, that would be respected by many, by the way. Damian Lillard has spent his entire career on the Portland Trail Blazers. He tried to make it work as much as he possibly could. He's about to go into his age 33 season, so it's not the craziest thing to believe that Damian Lillard may have like 2 more seasons of extremely productive basketball left in him. It's very respectable to try to relocate in order to win a championship under those circumstances. The comparison I made in this particular instance was very similar to Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett gave his best years to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and when it seemed clear to everybody that it was best for Kevin Garnett to move on, he got traded from Minnesota to Boston for a crazy return, by the way. He spent his age 31 season with the Boston Celtics, and he finally won a championship. This is something that we could respect. The Miami Heat traded Victor Oladipo yesterday to the Oklahoma City Thunder so they could create a $9.5 million trade exception. And in preparation for such a thing, I actually prepared a Victor Oladipo OKC Thunder jersey swap for you right here. Jokes aside, whenever teams make moves such as this, it starts to make you think why they would make such a move. They've been really prepared for this for quite some time. So the Heat are prepared to offer a package centered around Tyler Hero with possibly Duncan Robinson and picks. Sources say the Heat would prefer to keep Caleb Martin out of any trade scenarios. It's important to note that Damian Lillard doesn't have a no trade clause like Bradley Beal did. The significance of this is Damian Lillard cannot force himself to the Miami Heat, but he has said that the Miami Heat is his preference here. He also has a deep respect for the San Antonio Spurs organization, sources tell ESPN. He's not going to the Spurs. I mean, it'd be fun to watch him and Victor Wembanyama, but I don't think he's going to go to the Spurs. According to Woj, the top 3 contenders are the Heat, Clippers, and 76ers that will have interest in exploring trades for Damian Lillard. The Blazers are expected to value deals that would bring them back young players and draft assets. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Mike, what about the Lakers? No, the Lakers are... Get that out of your head. No, it's not going to happen. Dame is owed a Supermax contract extension in 2 years from now. The Lakers can't afford it. It's not going to happen. I mean, maybe if LeBron retires, yeah, but it's not going to happen. They don't have cap space. They'd have to give up like Anthony Davis, and I don't even want to entertain this right now. We have bigger fish to fry, guys. Now, it's very important to know, we reported a few days ago that James Harden wants to opt in and get traded from the Sixers. James Harden doesn't have a no trade clause either. Theoretically speaking, the Philadelphia 76ers could offer a trade package of picks, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey to the Portland Trail Blazers. This is why the 76ers didn't extend Tyrese Maxey to begin with. They wanted him to be on that very tiny rookie contract that he's going to be on for 1 more year, so the contract is more tradable should they want to trade for somebody. But despite this, the 76ers have no interest in including Tyrese Maxey in a potential trade for Damian Lillard, which I believe is the right call. I would love to see Dame on the Philadelphia 76ers, but I think if such a trade were to go down, it would be based around Tobias Harris and picks and maybe some additional role players, not necessarily Tyrese Maxey. I don't even think the Portland Trail Blazers would have interest in Tyrese Maxey, not from the standpoint of him not being talented enough, but from the standpoint of this team has way too many guards. I mean, way too many guards. I'm just looking at this roster. They have Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons, Matisse Thybulle, Skylar Mays, Keon Johnson, Damian Lillard. They just drafted Scoot Henderson. I don't think they want more guards in this particular instance. The Miami Heat's offer isn't necessarily the greatest offer, but it is very much the type of offer that the Miami Heat would typically give up in this scenario. The Miami Heat don't historically overpay teams for stars. Now, the Los Angeles Clippers could also offer a pretty nice deal as well, and the same thing could be said about the Miami Heat. I don't necessarily know if Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson would really move the needle in terms of players that the Trailblazers Blazers would want. Maybe after that, they would try to move Tyler Hero, like down the line in the trade deadline, or potentially Anthony Simons. I'm not necessarily sure, but I feel like the trade that makes the most sense to me here would probably be the Philadelphia 76ers. I think Tobias Harris would make a lot of sense on this team. Just from a pure developmental standpoint, I feel like him alongside Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe and Jerami Grant would be really good just for the first couple of years of Scoot Henderson's career, so he could become very acclimated to the NBA. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about all this. Do you think the Miami Heat should trade for Damian Lillard? Do you think he's more likely to go to the Sixers, maybe a team that I didn't bring up on this list? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.